Okay, so considering the coalition's proposal to build nuclear reactors all around the country, one of the many questions that come up is, what are we going to do with all the nuclear waste? There are three types of nuclear waste. Firstly, there's low level, so that's like clothing and syringes from medicine, as well as other equipment and tools. Now, Australia obviously does produce low level waste, and we keep it at the facilities where it's made. That's like hospitals and universities. Then there's intermediate waste, which is also produced in Australia. It's stored at the reactor at Lucas Heights in Sydney. Just a note about that reactor, it's only used for research and making nuclear medicine that's used to treat cancer. Australia's intermediate waste comes from spent nuclear fuel, which is essentially uranium that's been processed and enriched so it can be used in a reactor. Now, for several years, we've been sending that waste to Europe, where it's then mixed with molten glass and put in big cylinders and then sent back. As it is dangerous, it's kept at the reactor in Sydney temporarily because we currently don't have a permanent solution for dealing with any nuclear waste in Australia. Then there's high-level wastes, which is extremely dangerous materials that come from the core of a reactor. This is the waste product of the nuclear facilities that are being proposed by the opposition. To put it into perspective, this stuff only accounts for 3% of the world's nuclear waste, but 95% of the radioactivity, and it's typically stored at the site of a reactor. Firstly in these pools for a few years, and then in cylinders like these. So, how have we gone with storing the waste we do have? Well, not very well. In 2012, the Gillard government passed an act that started to plan Australia's National Radioactive Waste Management Facility. But the closest we've come to having a facility was when a site in South Australia was chosen by Scotty from marketing in 2021. Community members argued that they hadn't been properly consulted over the site, and the Bangala traditional owners successfully challenged the decision in the federal court. So the $100 million plans to build the waste dump were scrapped, and it's really been cricket since. There is one private facility in WA that's taken a small amount of low-level nuclear waste. So if it's taken over a decade to unsuccessfully find a spot for our current waste because no one wants it in their backyard and people don't want trucks of waste driving through their town, how are we going to store the stuff that's even more dangerous? Maybe we could look at other countries. As of this report from 2022, 0% of the world's high-level nuclear waste is in permanent disposal, and only one country has built a facility for it. It's this one in Finland, and it's just completed its first trial, taking waste 430 meters underground. It's after 20 years of planning and construction and over 1.7 billion Aussie dollars. So what's the fallout? Well, if we go ahead with Peter Dutton's nuclear plan, which is more expensive and compared with the renewables rollout, less environmentally friendly, we're going to end up producing a lot of highly dangerous nuclear waste that we not only don't have a plan to deal with, but also that no one wants stored in their backyard. And okay, look, it will only be a problem for the short term of millions of years.